Good afternoon, friends. Well, I'm here again, back again after 7 years to Bangladesh, and it's a very, very pleasant experience to meet many old friends and make many new friends. So I'm here with this presentation, which we call the Oral Traditions of Bengal, Story and Song. And I'm going to speak of some of these traditions which have come to us by word of mouth initially, and then over the years they've been textualized and have become part of classical music. Jayati will be demonstrating, she'll be singing the songs. And I have a request to my audience that please don't clap till the program is over. Because she sings so beautifully that the immediate urge is to clap. But then that will just delay the whole thing. So even silence is appreciation.
পূর্বেতে বন্দনা করি সূরজের থান আইসো মাগো সরস্বতী কণ্ঠে দিও গান উত্তরে বন্দনা করি হিমালয় পাহাড় গুরু মুর্শিদ দিও তুমি দিল ভরা সুর পশ্চিমেতে বন্দি যেথায় মক্কা বালুস্থান আসরেতে নবী মোরা সব গুণীজন দক্ষিণেতে দরিয়ায় কোনো কুল নাহি সমবেত সুধী জনে অনুমতি চাহি
Bengal, and here I refer to both East and West, with a plurality of religions, cultures and subcultures, and her numerous linguistic forms and dialects, provides a wonderful kaleidoscope of thoughts and ideas through her oral utterances. Multiple streams of expressions provide a fascinating study for the researcher. This cultural heritage is deeply enmeshed in the life of a Bengali, enfolding Hindu and Muslim alike. In the present scenario of divisive identity politics, it is imperative that we draw upon this common heritage constantly and consistently. What Jayati and I propose to do this afternoon is to bring to the audience stories, legends and songs from two main areas of Bengali life: the religious beliefs of common folk and the joys and sorrows of their livelihoods, highlighting practices in which there was equal participation of Hindus and Muslims, with each community infusing and enriching the traditions of poetry, music, narrative and ritual. What is observed is a readiness to dissolve religious differences in a common cultural pool of assimilated identities. A large body of the oral literature of Bengal is rooted in the worship of demonic powers. As is to be expected in a tropical region and a primitive rural society, certain deities are seen as holding human lives in thrall by their control of natural calamities, animal attacks and epidemics. Though Islam sanctions worship of none other than Allah, the Muslims of Bengal are equal participants in the propitiation of these deities. Interestingly, most of these are female deities, indicating that Bengalis have seen the powers of destruction and preservation as vested in women from time immemorial. Let us begin with the Shat Bibi Upakhya, the legend of the seven sisters who hold in their hands the power to unleash and contain some of the deadly diseases that strike rural Bengal from time to time. The eldest and most feared is Ola Bibi or Bibi Ma, the goddess of cholera or Ola Uta. Ola in the rustic dialect meaning diarrhea and Uta vomiting. When the two symptoms appear together, the villagers see it as Ola Bibi's curse and rush to offer prayers and sacrifices. So great is the awe and terror of this deity that they invest her with the most flattering attributes. Worshipped by both Hindus and Muslims alike, she is represented as a woman of surpassing beauty, striking personality, and noble mien. The Hindu version of the idol, Olai Chundi, has a bright yellow complexion and long slanting eyes. She wears a blue sari, has open hair, and is adorned with the jewelry wealthy Hindu women wear, bangles, necklaces, armlets, and a nose hoop. The Muslims visualize her as a high-born Muslim maiden in Islamic attire, loose pajamas, shirt, cap, veil, and nagras on her feet. The worship of Ola Bibi continues vibrantly into the present in Nadia, Bankura, Bisham, Bardhaman, and even Kolkata, sometimes singly, sometimes along with her other 6 sisters, Jhola Bibi, Ajgai Bibi, Chand Bibi, Bahur Bibi, Jentuli Bibi, and Ashan Bibi. Her puja is performed out in the open, under the trees, or by the river. But some places are earmarked as Shat Bibi Than or Ula Bibi Than. Than being a corruption of the words Than, meaning place. The rituals, even when the devotees are Brahmins, are performed by Muslims or drawn from the lowest rung of the caste ladder, the Haris or domes. The second sister Jhola is the goddess of pustules, the full range from the harmless measles to the killer smallpox. But at least one of the 7 sisters is a benevolent deity. The youngest, Ashan Bibi, makes things easy for women who invoke her aid.
শুনো সবে হাত জোড়ি ভক্তি সহকারে আশান বিবির কথা বলি সবাকারে পূর্বকালে পূর্ব দেশে ঈশাখানা মেতে বাদশা ছিলেন এক সমুদ্র কূলেতে প্রবল প্রতাপ ঈশা বড় গুণধাম পালিতেন সমভাবে হিন্দু মুসলমান
Ashan Bibi's Brota Katha tells the story of Shirin, the first Broti or invoker of the deity's aid. Shirin's father, Sultan Isha Khan, ordered his daughter to be killed at birth to save her from falling into the hands of the pirates of Arakan, who descended on his kingdom periodically to loot, plunder, and rape. But his purpose was foiled by his eldest son, Chand, who escaped with his sister into the forest, far away from the civilized world and its cruelties to women. When Chand was forced to go out to seek a livelihood, he gave his sister 7 munia birds and charged her solemnly to give them their gram and water every day and keep them alive, for his life was bound up in theirs. Young Shirin, in a playful mood, forgot her duty one day and was shocked to find that the birds had died. She set up a wail, during which Ashan Bibi appeared before her. Commanding Shirin to find 7 married women and make them sit around the birds and listen to her story, Ashan Bibi brought the birds and Chand back to life. This was the first Ashan Bibi Puja. Ishaka's cruelty to his daughter, with all its implications of female infanticide and honor killing, being foiled by his rebel son, an enlightened man and champion of women's rights, is as relevant today as it was then. Ashan Bibi is not only a deity, she is the manifestation of woman power. The 7 Brotis symbolize the bonding and coming together of women in a bid to protect each other from masculine cruelty and domination. Ashan Bibi is a Muslim deity, but as part of an appropriation and assimilation that has gone on for centuries and is typical of Bengalis, the legend of Ashan Bibi is enacted to this day by Hindu women. The offerings are gram and water, and the birds are represented by clods of earth. The rituals of this puja display a fascinating blend of Hindu and Muslim practices. The square of red silk on which the pot of water is placed, the silence observed when the tale is being told, and the prasad being eaten out of the achuls of the women's saris are derived from Muslim practices. But the water in the pot is Gangajal. The pot is adorned with a swastika, and the clods of earth have to be taken from the base of a tulsi bush. Shidur, alta and pan, with which the chief Broti of pleasure greets the other 6 women, are the other Hindu elements of the puja. Another women's broto is centered around Bhadu, a folk deity worshipped extensively in Rar and its surrounding districts. Bhadu puja is performed through the month of Bhadra, that is the middle of August to the middle of September. The main component of the puja is the community singing by women, in which the tale of young Princess Bhadrashwari of Manbhum and her tragic, untimely death is told. Bhadugan, or the Ballad of Bhadu, expresses the hopes and aspirations of young maidens in ordinary, everyday village life. This puja has no religious basis. No mantras are required, and no priests to conduct the rituals. The devotees, like in the Ashan Bibi Vrata, are all women. But despite the non-Aryan nature of the puja and the absence of mantras, there are references to Kali and Krishna in the ballad. The drums announce the coming of Bhadu from Vrindavan, but at some point in her journey, she must have stopped at Kailash, for her hands are covered with blood-red sandal paste, like Kali's, and a garland of hibiscus hangs around her neck. Thus, Vaishnav and Shaivite ideologies are mixed and mingled in the worship of Bhadu, and Shyam and Shama come together. Yet Bhadu is human, a young girl. She is petted and pampered by her devotees and called Bhadurani and Bhadudhun. Young girls form eternal friendships with her, using the tradition of Shoi Pakanu, the exchange of symbolic names with special girlfriends. In the song that follows, a devotee makes Bhadu her Shoi, picking Phool, flower, as a name for her. But what is she to give Bhadu as a gift? Flowers and garlands, of course.
ভাদু পরবের হাট লাগলো রে আমার ভাদু পরবের হাট লাগলো রে ভাদু সোহাগীরা ভাদু সোহাগীরা ভাদু সোহাগীরা কেউ করেছে না কেন কেউ বাবারে মঞ্জি ভাদু পরবের হাট লাগলো রে আমার ভাদু পরবের হাট লাগলো রে আমার ভাদুর কলে ফুলমালাকে পরিয়ে দিয়েছে আমার ভাদুর কলে ফুলমালাকে পরিয়ে দিয়েছে ফুলের ডালে ফুলের বাসি ফুলের করব বিছানা আমার ভাদু শুতে দাঁড়ে বঞ্চনায় প্রাণ বাঁচে নাকে পরিয়ে দিয়েছে তাল তলাতে দাঁড়া ভাদু তাল পাতে কি জল চাচে মোমের ছাতা তুলে ধরু সোনার রঙ যায় ভেসে কি পরিয়ে দিয়েছে আমার ভাদুর কলে ফুলমালা কি পরিয়ে দিয়েছে তাল তলাতে আমার ভাদু তালের পিঠে করেছে উটের ভাদু কত ভাগি টুকা নিয়ে দৌড়েছে কি পরিয়ে দিয়েছে আমার ভাদুর কলে ফুলমালা কি পরিয়ে দিয়েছে।
Agrarian societies are almost totally dependent on the whims of nature. Droughts, floods, storms, and pests might bring to naught months of hard labor in the fields. Thus, fear and uncertainty dog the lives of peasants, and they can breathe easy only after the harvest is reaped and safely stored away in their paddy bins. The harvest festival of Bengal starts on Makar Sankranti, or the winter solstice, when the crops begin to ripen. In some districts, this festival is known as Tush Tushuli Vrata, and in others, Tushu. Tushu is neither a goddess nor a human like Bhadu. Tush, or the husk that protects the precious grain for the whole period of ripening, is the object of worship here. The puja is performed by women irrespective of age or status. Young girls, married women, matrons and widows are all allowed to participate in the rituals which go on for 3 days. An earthen plate filled with husk is placed in a room where the women of the household assemble, chanting verses in praise of Tushu. On the 3rd day, one of them carries the plate on her head to the pond and sets it afloat. The rituals vary from region to region, but the practice of Bauri Bandhan is prevalent in most parts of Bengal. The outer surface of a clay saucer is smeared with rice paste, then filled with water and placed on the fire. As the rice paste bakes and hardens and gets stuck to the pot, women chant and sing for joy. For the ritual of Bauri Bandha symbolizes the binding of the grain. It is now firmly in the household and cannot escape. It is is only on the conclusion of this ritual that the preparing of pithe puli, an array of sweets made from new rice, coconut, and molasses, can commence. The emotions that spark off the festival of Tushu are relief and gratitude for being spared the prospect of starvation for another season. What better way to express these feelings than in song? Tushugan is similar to Bhadugan in many ways, but whereas the latter focuses on the dreams and aspirations of young maidens, Tushu expresses the hopes and fears of an entire community. In the song that Jayati will sing next, Tushu is represented as a rustic lass, celebrating a bountiful harvest with her friends, boys as well as girls.
বলি মকর পরবে মদনা চূড়া ধামসা বাজাইছে টুসু চুড়ি ধামসার বলে কেমন দেখো নাচিছে মকর পরবে মদনা চূড়া ধামসা বাজাইছে বলি মকর দিনে বিহান কালে গেল নদীর ধার দেখো হলুদ রঙা মুড়ি খেয়ে ঠোঁটের কি বাহার রাঙা ঠোঁটে রাঙা মুড়ি কেমন দেখো মানাইছে মকর পরবে মদনা চূড়া ধামসা বাজাইছে বলি দুপুর বেলা নদীর জলে পরে টুসু স্নান আর সিনান চাইরে টুসুর মন করে আনসান ঘরে যাবে বলে টুসু কাপড় চোপড় বাঁধিছে মকর পরবে মদনা চূড়া ধামসা বাজাইছে।
The literature of rural Bengal is studded with references to these deities. Brotakatha and Kathakatha, stories with a moral lesson at the end, were told by professional narrators or Kathak Thakurs at religious gatherings from as early as the 5th or 6th century AD. The practice continued vibrantly into the present. At some point down the years, they were given a structured form called Pachali, a story chanted in verses. Still later, they were textualized by erudite versifiers or Padapaktas in a form called Mongol Kapo. We shall take up for demonstration three of these: the Shottanarayanar Pachali, the Manushamangol, and Agumani. The worship of Shottanarayan or Shottapir is performed by both Hindus and Muslims. The rituals are identical, but the deity is called by different names: Shottanarayan by Hindus and Shottapir by Muslims. The offering is identical too: a thick gruel-like substance made of flour, milk, mashed bananas and molasses called shidni, which seems to be a corrupted form of the Persian word kirni. Shottanarayan Pujo in Hindu households is performed by Brahmin priests learned in the Shastras. A shalagram shila, symbol of Vishnu, is placed on a square of carpet called an ashram. 5 small plates surround it, each containing a betel leaf, a supari, a banana, a batasha, and a coin. These are called mokams. The object, usually a knife or blade, is placed next to the shalagram shila. There is some debate on what came first: the Islamization of Shottanarayan or the Sanskritization of Shottapir. The latter seems to come nearest to the truth for the following reasons. One, that the presence of a metal object on the ashram of the Shalagram Shila is totally alien to any form of worship sanctioned by the Shastras. Two, the words Shotto and Mokam are Arabic in origin. Three, Shidni as an offering is not seen in the worship of any other Hindu deity. The truth probably is that someone called Shottapir actually existed at some point of time and was subsequently raised to the status of a deity by his followers. Since Islamic Sharia does not sanction worship of any other than Allah, Shottapir remained on the fringes till caste Hindus, ever eager to swell the ranks of the pantheon, appropriated him and made him their own. The rituals remained the same. The only thing they added was the concept that Shottapir was an incarnation of Vishnu in Kali. Hence the Shalagram Shila.
হাসিতে হাসিতে প্রভু দিজে কন তবে নিদানে আমার তুমি পরিচয় পাবে বিধি মোর বড় ভাই মহেশ অনুজ শঙ্খ চক্র গদা পদ্মধারী চতুর্ভুজ কৃষ্ণকলি মথনে কেশব মোর নাম মক্কায় রহিম আমি অযোধ্যায় রাম ফকির হইনু আমি তোমার কারণ কলিতে সম্প্রতি বাছা সত্যনারায়ণ।
the daughter of sheep and Ganga. Another name for whom is Vishnu, conqueror of poison. Of these, the most popular version is the one by Ketoka Das Kamanapur and is still performed by theatrical troops in the small towns and villages of Bengal. Manusha worship is said to have emanated from that of the goddess of snakes, Manacha Amma of Karnataka, the ch sound having changed to sh in provincial Bengali. There are several versions of how the concept arrived from South India to Bengal, of which the most reliable one is that it was brought by bands of Vedis, nomadic snake charmers, who wander from place to place, exhibiting their skills in taming snakes and making them dance to the trilling of their pipes. Vedis, a community that still exists in Bengal, though Muslim, are fervent worshippers of Manusha. Manusha Puja is traditionally performed at the base of a Poni Manusha bush, a wild plant with thick spiky leaves edged with thorns. The bush is supposed to be the protector of snakes and hence their favorite haunt. Though a pre-Aryan deity, Manusha Puja is performed by Brahmin priests in accordance with Vedic rites. The goddess is offered flowers, paddy, incense, and sindoor. But the bhog, a meal of rice, dal, and vegetables, has to be cooked the previous night and offered steak. Manusha Puja is also performed in Bangladesh, often by Namazi Muslims who see no contradiction between their worship of Allah and this indigenous deity. Manusha Mongol or Manusha Bhashan is a long drawn-out narrative set to music. The versification is rudimentary, composed of octosyllabic couplets, interspersed with occasional portraits. The storyline is simple and the tunes primary and repetitive. The ballad tells the story of the complete humiliation and defeat of the merchant Chand Saudagar at the hands of the snake goddess, Manusha. Puffed up with pride at his wealth, his 7 sons, and his fleet of ships that carry expensive cargo from one port to another, Chand Saudagar refuses to pay Manusha the homage due to her. Chand is also the quintessential male chauvinist who considers the worship of female deities below his dignity. Manusha decides to teach him a lesson. His 7 sons die of snakebite. 7 of his ships, in some versions it is 14, are lost at sea. But the youngest son, Lakhindar's wife, the great Sati, Behula, saves her father-in-law from Manusha's wrath. She refuses to cremate her husband or don widow's weeds. Making a raft of banana trunks, she sets herself afloat on the Ganga with her husband's head on her lap. The river takes her to the abode of the gods, where she wins Manusha over with her devotion and humility. Manusha forgives Chand Saudagar, and all ends well, with Chand acknowledging Manusha's divinity and Manusha returning to him all she had taken. The story of Behula predates Brahminical Hinduism and established caste structures. The names Behula, Shanuka, and Lakhinvar serve as evidence to the fact. Yet the moral is rooted in matriarchy. A woman's chastity and steadfast loyalty to her husband as integral to the welfare of family and community has been valorized in Manusha Mongol. And to this day, Behula's chastity is seen to be on par with that of the great satis of the epics, Sita and Savitri. The verses Joyati has selected for representation from Manusha Mongol describe the sinking of Chand Saudagar's 14 ships, his anguish and horror, and Manusha's triumph at her victory.
দুলাই রে দর করি ধরিও কান্ডার দুলাই রে দর করি ধরিও কান্ডার কান্ডারে ধরিও দর তরঙ্গ হইল বড় পাতা হালে নাহি চের পানি দুলাই রে পাতা হালে নাহি চের পানি যেন কুমহারের চাক 14 ডিঙা খাইল পাক যেন কুমহারের চাক 14 ডিঙা খাইল পাক ঝলকি ঝলকি উঠে পানি দুলাই রে দর করি তরিও কান্ডার ভাঙ্গির লোকার দলুই চিরিল পাটের সলুই বিবাদে লাগিলা মোরে কানি দুলাই রে বিবাদে লাগিলা মোরে কানি বয়েতে কাঁপিছে তনু রাখিবারে না পারিনু, বয়েতে কাঁপিছে তনু রাখিবারে না পারিনু, মজিলে কোডিঙ্গা চোদ্দখানি ধুলাই রে দর করি তরিও কান্ডার। বায়ুর সাহায্য লইয়া নদ নদী আসে ধাইয়া, শব্দ হয় অতি ঘর তর দুলাই রে, শব্দ হয় অতি ঘর তর। পদ্মাবতী দর্শনে সানন্দে বিজয় মনে, পদ্মাবতী দর্শনে সানন্দে বিজয় মনে, ভয়তে কান্দিছে সদাগর দুলাই রে ধর করি দরিও কান্ডার, দুলাই রে বয়েতে কান্দিছে সদাগর।
Agumoni verses sung in preparation for Durga's wedding by itinerant minstrels, both Hindu and Muslim, got its first structured form in the songs of the sage Ramprasad, who along with Poru Chakul, Ramani Gupta and other Padakartas from the British Parganas, Bardhaman, Bankura and Murshidabad, imbued the form with extraordinary sensitivity and human feelings. At the end of the monsoons, when the first clear light of autumn suffuses the skies, when the lotus blooms and the waving kash is reflected in the waters of ponds and rivers, Bengali villages come alive with the singing of Agumoni, the legend dear to Bengali hearts of the coming of Uma. For the great goddess, the 10-armed Mahashakti and the vanquisher of Munishashura comes to her earth mother's lap in the form of her little Uma. The emotional Bengalis, ever ready to humanize their deities and form relationships with them, rejoice at her coming. Agumoni is an expression, pure and simple, of the everyday life of women in a rural community, their joys and sorrows, hopes and fears. Agumoni opens with Menaka's grief at the plight of her daughter Uma, married by a careless, indifferent father to the wayward, half-crazed beggar, Sheep, who covers his nakedness with ash, gets stoned with bhang, and consorts with ghosts and spirits. Menaka's impassioned plea to her husband Giriraj to bring her darling to her, if only for a few days, echo the yearning of all mothers for a daughter married far away from home. Giriraj likes to believe Vatsudha. Convinced that his daughter is perfectly happy in her husband's home, he dismisses his wife's fears and tries to placate her with vague promises. But Manaka won't let him off so lightly. She tells him that she won't send Uma back to her husband's house when she comes next. She'll turn a deaf ear to what people say, and if she insists on taking her back, she and her daughter together will give her son-in-law the tongue lashing he deserves. This song, composed by Ram Prasad, touches a chord in every mother's heart, for all women, including men, know that this show of rebellion is worth nothing and will be quelled by Giriraj before he has even heard her out.
গিরি এবার আমার উমা এলে, এবার আমার উমা এলে, আর উমায় পাঠাবো না, আর উমায় পাঠাবো না, আর উমায় পাঠাবো না, বলে বলবে লোকে মন্দ, কারো কথা শুনবো না গিরি, এবার আমার উমা এলে, এবার আমার উমা এলে, যদি এসে মৃত্যুঞ্জয় উমানে বার কথা কয়, মায়ে ঝিয়ে করব ঝগড়া, জামাই বলে মানব না গিরি, এবার আমার উমা এলে, এবার আমার উমা এলে। দ্বিজ রাম প্রসাদ কয়, এ দুঃখ কি প্রাণে সয় জামাই, শ্মশানে মশানে ফেরে, ঘরের ভাবনা ভাবে না গিরি, এবার আমার উমা এলে বারামার উমা এলে।
Uma comes. But Menuka has to reckon not only with her husband, but with a daughter whose other name is Shruti, and who smiles away her mother's suggestion of keeping her permanently with her. The 3 days of Uma's visit pass quickly, too quickly. A desperate Menuka changes her tune. She appeals to her daughter to persuade her husband to come to his father-in-law's house and stay a few days. Dropping her aggressive stance, she promises to pamper him and give him everything he wants, including his favorite thumb. But that, of course, is not to be. She, incensed with Giriraj for past insults, won't even step across the threshold. Navami night comes.
ওগো নবমী নিশি
Only a few hours to dawn, and Uma will go back. Menuka breaks down and weeps.
পোহায় না তুমি গেলে আমার উমা যাবে এ দুঃখের প্রাণ আর বাঁচবে না ওগো নবমী নিশি তুমি যেন আর পোহায় না। সপ্তমী অষ্টমীতে আমি ছিলাম মনের সুখেতে ওগো নবমী তোয় মাথা খেতে কেন এলি বল না ওগো নবমী নিশি তুমি যেন
To the night of the right moon, to embrace eternity and never see the face of dawn, remains unheard and unanswered. From the complex compound of anxiety, nostalgia, and hope that is Avamuni, we move to another area of cultural memory, the legend of Karbala. Through the month of Muharram, the Muslims of rural Bengal enact the legend of the Battle of Karbala and the massacre of the Prophet's grandsons, Hassan and Hussein. The tale is sung in verse known as Jarigan. The word Jari derived from Persian, denoting mourning. It is accompanied by the playing of musical instruments like drums and cymbals and body movements like eating and dancing. About 20 young men with gamchas on their shoulders and ghungroos on their feet make up a Jari troupe. They go from door to door, the lead singer telling the tale, the others taking up the refrain. Jari is presumed to have originated in the 16th century with its roots in the Muharram legend. But the form evolved and came to incorporate other tragic legends, not all of them Muslim. For instance, a very popular Jari theme is that of Chundidash and his ill-fated love for the washerwoman Rami. And over the years, Jari has moved on, bringing every form of human suffering within its ambit. While retaining old myths and legends in its repertoire, present-day Jari explores and foregrounds the adversities and afflictions of common folk, the fears and terrors that make up their day-to-day existence, poverty, sickness, failed harvests, and natural disasters. A famous Jari Gan reflects this transition. It begins with a heart-rending account of the trials and tribulations suffered by the adherents of Allah after losing the Battle of Karbala. The miles of walking in the desert under a white-hot sun, feet on fire against the burning sand, chests rattling with thirst.
বেলাদি প্রহর দুদু বাল পেতে কলিজা ফাটে পিয়াসে কাতর।
But soon, in the same song, the focus moves from the plight of the faithful in distant Arabia to the plight of the Rayat in rural Bengal. From a song of worship, it becomes a song of livelihood. Peasants who live by the soil, in the grip of the winds of nature, look up at a drought-hit sky and call upon Allah to send rain.
আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, পানি দে, ছায়া দে রে তুই। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, পানি দে, ছায়া দে রে তুই। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে। আসমান হইল টুডা টুডা, জমিন হইল ফাডা, মেঘ রাজা ঘুমাইয়া রয়েছে, মেঘ দে বছর কেডা। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, পানি দে, ছায়া দে রে তুই। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে। ফাইটা ফাইটা রয়েছে যত খালা বিলা নদী, পানির লাইগা খাইন্দা মরে পঙ্খী জলদি। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে, পানি দে, ছায়া দে রে তুই। আল্লাহ মেঘ দে।
Music runs in the Bengali blood, particularly in that of the rural masses. Work and song are so closely interwoven that every livelihood is expressed in song. All working people, whether potters or weavers, cowherds or blacksmiths, peasants or Kalangian bearers, sing as they work. But being a land of many rivers and waterways, and sailing being a way of life here, perhaps some of the most poignant forms of folk music are to be found in the songs sung by the boatmen of Bengal.
মাঝি বাইয়া যাও রে, অকুল দরিয়ার মাঝে আমার বাঙা নাও রে, মাঝি বাইয়া যাও রে। ও মাঝি রে, মহাজনের ধন রত্ন বাঙা নামে ভরি, লাভ করিতে আইলাম ভবে, হইয়া বেপারি মাঝি বাইয়া যাও রে।
Bhatiyali, or the song of the lone boatman, as he drifts down the river, wide as the sea from monsoon rain, is too well known to need any introduction here. Far away from his loved ones, braving storms and tempests, the fear of never reaching his destination in his heart, the boatman pours out his love and longing, dreams and hopes, in a song that is as slow and tranquil as the flow of the water. Of all the folk songs of Bengal, nothing matches the subtle and sensitive blending of word and image, tune and rhythm that characterizes Bhatiyali. The boatmen are both Hindu and Muslim, and their songs, though reflecting their distinctive lifestyles, talk with the same emotions of nostalgia and despair.
ও মাঝি রে, মালের কোটায় দাও রে চাবি, আর তো সময় নাই, নইলে লাভে মূলে হারাইবে জীবনের কামাই। মাঝি বাইয়া যাও রে, মাঝি বাইয়া যাও রে, অকুল দরিয়ার মাঝে।
Like Bhatiyali, Shadigan is essentially a collection of river songs. But these are sung during regattas, when rows of boatmen need to ply their oars in synchrony to attain maximum speed. In fact, whenever a group of men or women try to accomplish a physically demanding task, be it weeding a field, threshing paddy, washing jute, or rowing a boat, they tend to chant or sing to give a rhythm to their movements and to relieve the tedium of the work. In that sense, all the songs sung collectively by the laboring class comes under the category of Sharigan, Shari meaning row or line. But Sharigan, like Bhatiyali, is linked in the minds of Bengalis primarily with the movement of a boat. Quick and rhythmic in Shari, slow and languorous in Bhatiyali. The other, more fundamental difference between the two is that Bhatiyari is sung in a single voice, Shari in a chorus of voices. Boat races are organized and Sharigan sung extensively in Rajshahi, Dinajpur, Dhaka, Maimanshing and Borishal on both Hindu and Muslim festivals such as Sravan Shankranti, Vijay Dashami, Eid ul Fitr and Eid ul Zuha. They have a wide range of themes. The songs sung before the starting of the race are usually paeans of praise to the deities, with the idea of invoking their blessings. After the boat sets sail, the singing becomes loud and clamorous and is accompanied by the beating of drums and the clanging of metal plates. These songs are loaded with comic jibes, contempt and invective for the rival group. Sometimes the main singer is seen dancing in the boat to the rhythm of the oars.
Hey yo re hey yo, hey yo re hey yo, shama 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 lore shame tori paiyo, shama 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 lore shame tori paiyo. Bella gelo shonda holo kalo meghe gamun sailo ho. Bella gelo shonda holo kalo meghe gamun sailo ho. Oy de thaika gorze deva tire pane daiyo, thaika gorze deva tire pane daiyo. Hey yo re hey yo, hey yo re hey yo. Eukhale de ei doriya naga dora pani, bala amar chotto nawe bojai dite pari. Kemon koira he kandari bhida moi bhanga tori ho. O sei nijan kaler nijan netan parer dike daiyo, nijan kaler nijan netan parer dike daiyo. Hey yo re hey yo, hey yo re hey yo.
On the return journey, the mood changes. The singing becomes somber and pensive, the language thoughtful and imbued with philosophy.
Oh, amar dorodi age janle, tar bhangano kai chortam na, bhangano kai chortam na re, durer padi dortam na, are nobo lakhbani zer besha, ei nobo jai kortam na age janle তোর ভাঙ্গানো কাই তোর কামনা ছিল সোনার তার পবনের নৌকা ময়ূর পঙ্খী নৌখানা চন্দ্র সূরজ কলুই ভরি ফুল ছড়াই তো যোজনায় আগে জানলে তোর ভাঙ্গানো কাই তোর কামনা
Bhavaiya. Bhavaiya is essentially a wonderfully lyrical love song, expressing the full range of emotions that sway the heart of a woman in love. Sung mainly in Rangpur, Coach Bihar, Assam and Jalpaiguri, Bhavaiya describes the rapture of union and surrender and the anguish of parting and loss. These songs are also known as Goal Pararkan, after a forest of Assam, where presumably they had their origin. The song selected by Jayati expresses a woman's fears for her lover, a Muslim Mahud, small and frail, with a dark beard covering his cheeks and chin. The Mahud is on his way, but who knows if he will return? The bamboo clumps, whose leaves elephants like to feed on, are infested with snakes. Can the Mahud's beloved bind him with her hair and prevent him from leaving her side?
Tumra gele ki ashibe Murmahut bandure Husti narang husti cholang Ke gua basher tole Kiyo re tikal shorpe domshilo mahut ko Koya jai komorare Tumra gele ki ashibe Mor mahut bandure রোজায় যারে কবিরাজ যারে চেকিয়া রাগার দিয়া কি ওরে মুই নারী জারি মাহু তপ কেসে রাগার দিয়া রে আরে গেলে কি আসিবে মোর মাহুত বন্ধুরে
Jhumur is the name given to a style of folk music common to many parts of India, such as Bengal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The language differs from region to region, but the tune and style of the singing is more or less similar. The bordering areas of all these states, being hilly terrain covered with forests, are inhabited by Adivasis, of whom the ones in Bengal and Bihar are Shauntal. Shautali Jhumur, having come under the influence of Bengali folk and classical traditions, has evolved into something different in terms of form, tune, language, and expression. Shautali Jhumur is made up of 3-line verses. The singing is accompanied by dancing and the playing of musical instruments like the madhu, a kind of drum, and banshi, flute. The themes are mostly those that pertain to everyday Adivashi life, such as the agony of a girl whose father, lured by a large bride price, marries her off to a man from a distant village, or the aspirations of a vivacious lass who wishes to dress and walk as gracefully and elegantly as the women of the city.
Ampaka lale lale jampaka kalore dakiti oi madar paka tuke akusila kabore madar paka tuke akusila kabore madar paka ampaka lale lale jampaka kalore dakiti oi madar paka ময়না জোরের হাটে যাব পাছা পেরে সারি লুবো দেখ দিদি তোর মতো ভালো দিদি তোর মতো আমি গিলকায়ে চলিব রে মাদার পাকা আমি গিলকায়ে চলিব রে মাদার পাকা.
But soon the girl's flirtatious charm is revealed for what it really is, a thin veneer. Her real self is laid bare in the heartbroken lament that follows, of a woman for whom poverty and deprivation are constant companions, whose children die because she cannot feed them.
ছেলে কাঁদে টাই টাই ছেলের পেটে টেনা না উচলে গেলি রে উচলে মলি রে বাঁধনা বাঁধতে সময় না দিদি তুকে আকুশিলা কবরে মাদার পাকা তুকে আকুশিলা কবরে মাদার পাকা.
We now come to the two universally acclaimed traditions of music in Bengal, Kirtan and Baul, which, while transcending the traditionally religious and social and community needs and concerns, yet absorbs and assimilates them all in the rich fabric of their complex plurality. Cultural movements such as Bhakti and Sufi, spanning time and territory, entered Bengal in successive waves, creating a syncretic culture in which music, poetry, and other fine arts were amalgamated. Bhakti and Sufi found their creative expression in several parallel musical forms in Bengal. These forms, though distinct from one another, have some attributes in common. The presence of a mystical fervor which celebrates the unity of God and man, and a philosophy of humanism which rejects rigid and stifling religious orthodoxies and stresses the equality of all human beings, irrespective of caste, class, race, gender, or religion, is common in Kirtan and Baul. Kirtan, derived from the word kirti or deed, is a form that showcases the attributes and exploits of the gods, humanizing them to an extent that makes them part of the everyday lives of ordinary men and women. Kirtan is said to have emanated from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vaishnavas believe him to be the 11th incarnation of Krishna. It is said that Radha wept 100 years after Krishna's desertion, that is, his departure from Vrindavan to assume the kingship at Mathura. But as the legend goes, Radha didn't stop at tears. Her grief and yearning were transmuted into a burning rage, in the throes of which she cursed Krishna with another incarnation. He would be born among the common people, she said, bearing his own form, but her heart, mind, and senses. He would experience for himself the breathless rapture and the excruciating agony of Krishna love. Great God though he was, Krishna could not shake off Radha's curse. He came down to earth as Nimai of Nodia. But he didn't come in his own aspect. The cloud complexioned God took on the hue of a golden lotus, Radha's hue, becoming Gaurango, or he of the fair form. The itinerant minstrel sings.
গোর চাঁদ নাচিয়া বেড়ায় রে প্রভাত সময় কালে সচিরাঙ্গিনা জুড়ে গৌর চাঁদ নাচিয়া বেড়ায় রে জাগনি গো সচি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা জাগনি গো সচি মাতা শোননি গো সচি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা শোননি গো সচি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা ঘরে ঘরে হরির নাম বিনায় রে প্রভাত সময়
Nimai was Krishna's natural incarnation in infancy, playful and mischievous, the bane of his mother Shochi's life. Then gradually, she whose heart, mind and senses he bore within his body began asserting herself, and he was drawn towards Krishna as a morphis to a flame. In the grip of a divine frenzy that could only be matched by Radha's for her mother Mohan, Nimai found himself drowning in a sea of Krishna consciousness. He would stop in his tracks whenever he heard the god's name. Then lifting his arms above his head, he would close his eyes and start swaying and pirouetting, chanting.
Hori Hadaya Namo Krishna Jadavaya Namo Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namo Gopale Govinda Ram Srimad Bhushudan Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan Hori Hadaya Namo Krishna Jadavaya Namo Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namo Hori Hadaya Namo Krishna Jadavaya Namo.
This was the origin of Kirtan. Nam Kirtan, reciting the names of the god, swelled as villagers, both Hindu and Muslim, started veering around Nimai in twos and threes. Then, with the passing years, a large band of devotees was formed, and Nimai, the wayward and incorrigible, was metamorphosed into the great saint and sage Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who preached a religion of humanism and founded the Vaishnava cult. As the numbers grew, Nam Kirtan changed in form and content. Shong Kirtan, Shong meaning together or in chorus, added adjectives and descriptive phrases to the names and used drums and cymbals to liven up the singing, which became loud and clamorous. The Mahaprabhu often took the lead himself, and the rest took up the refrain. Shong Kirtan parties moved from village to village in the manner of troubadours, disseminating the Mahaprabhu's message.
দুই রঙের মানুষ আইল গো সখী সোনার নদিয়ায় দুই রঙের মানুষ আইল গো সখী সোনার নদিয়ায় তারে দেখে এলাম রাজপথে সে এলিয়া দুলিয়া যায় সোনার নদিয়ায় মুখের আধার নাম আখি ঝরে অবিরাম সেই জলে তার অঙ্গ ভিজে দুলাতে মিশিয়া যায় সোনার নদিয়ায় দুই রঙের মানুষ আইল গো সখী সোনার নদিয়ায়.
From these humble beginnings, Kirtan passed by degrees into the hands of skilled versifiers and came to be known as Padaboli Kirtan, Pad meaning verse. Haridas Thakur, Narottam Thakur, Gyandas Thakur and Raghunandan Thakur were some of the Padakartas from whose creative genius Kirtan evolved into the intricate, meticulously structured musical form it is today. But though it had its genesis in the Radha Krishna legend, Kirtan moved over the years towards the Shaivaite tradition, imbuing it with its philosophy of humanism and love. Down the river from Nodia was Harishahur, where the great Shadhok, Kali Shadhok Ramprasad, sang Kali Kirtan, which humanized the goddess of terror and turned her into a mother whose eyes held oceans of mercy.
সকলি তোমারি ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো লোকে বলে করি আমি সকলি তোমারি ইচ্ছা পঙ্কে বদ্ধ কর করি পঙ্গুরে লঙ্ঘাগিরি তারে দামা ব্রহ্মপদ তারে কর অধগামী সকলি তোমারি ইচ্ছা।
Concentrated mostly in Kushtia, Shilaidaho and Shajadpur in Bangladesh, and Murshidabad and Birbhum in West Bengal, Baul is a folk tradition rooted in the lives of the rural people. Though traces of other influences are seen in Baul Gan, its main flow is from two strong sources, Muslim Sufi and Hindu Vaishnava. Hence the equal presence of Hindu and Muslim Bauls in the villages of Bengal. Though they dress differently, Muslims wear robes of motley-colored rags and carry a hookah and chimta, and Hindus don saffron and have sandalwood markings on their brows and ektaras in their hands. Their message is one and the same. Nurtured by great composers like Lalon Phokir, Duddu Shah, Madan Baul, Gagan Horkara, and Pikit Chand, Baul songs disseminate a message of harmony between man and man, rejecting religious codes like Sharia and Shastras, caste differences, and social conventions and taboos as barriers to a true union with God. But where is one to find God? Gagan Horkara, an unlettered rustic whose livelihood was carrying the post from village to village, sang as he went.
আমি কোথায় পাবো তারে আমার মনের মানুষ যে রে হারায় সেই মানুষে তার দেশে দেশে বিদেশে আমি দেশ বিদেশে বেড়াই ঘুরে কোথায় পাবো তারে আমার মনের মানুষ যে রে লাগি সেই হৃদয় শশী সদা প্রাণ হয় উদাসী পেলে মন কত খুশি দিবানিশি দেখিতাম নয়ন ভরে আমি প্রেমাননে মরছি জ্বলে নিবাই কেমন করে ও তার বিচ্ছেদে প্রাণ কেমন করে বিচ্ছেদে প্রাণ কেমন করে দেখ না তোরা ওরে দেখ না তোরা হৃদয়ে এসে দেখ না তোরা হৃদয়ে চিরে কোথায় পাবো তারে আমার মনের মানুষ যে রে।
And how does man find this Moner Manush, the being within himself? Only by freeing himself of all external forms of worship and trusting the flow of his own spirit. The Baul, the word is derived from Bayu, air, moves spontaneously towards God, the way air flows in and out of all created things. The term could also be derived from the Arabic Baul, meaning mad, in this case, mad with love of God. Since God is believed to reside within man, the human body is looked upon as the site of the ultimate truth, that which encompasses the entire universe. This tenet of Baul philosophy is known as Deho Tattvavad, the belief that the soul being pure, the body that houses it, together with all its functions, is pure and true. Lalon Phokir expresses this philosophy in a song so complex in idea and image as to be almost abstruse. The body is likened to a cage from which the Godhead flits to and fro. The Baul spends a lifetime trying to capture it, but the bird remains elusive.
খাঁচার ভিতর অচিন পাখি কোমনে আসে যায়, তারে ধরতে পারলে মন বেরি, ধরতে পারলে মন বেরি, দিতাম পাখির পায় কমনে আসে যায়। আটপুটুরি নয় তোর যায়াটা, মতে মতে ঝরে থাকাটা, তারি উপর আছে সদর কোঠা, উপর আছে দালান কোঠা, আয়না মহল তাই কমনে আসে যায়। মন তুই রইলি খাঁচার আসে, খাঁচা যে তোর তৈরি কাঁচা বাসে, একদিন একদিন খাঁচা পড়বে খসে, লালন বলে খাঁচা খুলে, সে পাখি কোন বনে পালায় কমনে আসে যায়। খাঁচার ভিতর অচিন পাখি কমনে আসে যায়।
In such a philosophy, there is, one would think, no place for Guruvar. If the Godhead you resides within you, where is the need for a middleman? Yet, strangely enough, Guru, Peer, Murshid, and Sai are extolled in Baul lyrics and often take the place of God. Baul philosophy, like a gigantic honeycomb, seems to have a slot for all human needs.
দেহ তরে দিলাম ছাড়িয়া গুরু তোমারি নামে, আমি যদি ডুবে মরি, আমি যদি ডুবে মরি গো, কলঙ্ক তোমার নামে। দেহ তরি দিলাম ছাড়িয়া গুরু তোমারি নামে, বাজারিরা বাজার করে কত রঙের বাতি জ্বলে গুরু দোকানের সামনে, তারা জ্বালাইয়া বাতি করে ডাকাতি গো সদর মোকামে, গুরু তোমারি নামে। দেহ তরি দিলাম ছাড়িয়া গুরু তোমারি নামে।
We would like to end this lecture demonstration with an account of the life of the greatest of Baul composers, Lalon Phokir. Not much is known of him except what has come down to us in the form of anecdotes. Lalon was born in the year 1774 in the village of Bhodura in Nodia district to a Kayastha family with the surname Kaur, or as some academics maintain, Dash. He lost his father in infancy and was married while still in his teens. As a young man, he went on a pilgrimage to Puri and on the way back was stricken with smallpox. His fellow travelers abandoned him, or, as per another account, set his body adrift on the Ganga, thinking him dead. He was found alive but badly pitted and blinded in one eye by a Muslim woman who nursed him back to health. In this village, he met an itinerant Baul singer named Shiraj Shai, who became his murshid or mentor. There are frequent references to Shiraj Shai in Lalon's compositions. At some point, Lalon went back to his native village, but was not accepted by his family and community because, having lived among Muslims and eaten with them, he had lost caste and was no longer a Hindu. Many of Lalon's songs question this aspect of Hinduism.
যাক গেল বলে কি আজব কারখানা, যাক গেল বলে সত্য কাজে কেউ নয় রাজি, সত্য কাজে কেউ নয় রাজি, সবই দেখি তা না না না, যাক গেল বলে। যখন তুমি ভবে এলে তখন তুমি কি জাত ছিলে, কি জাত হবা যাবার কালে, সে কথা কেন বলো না, যাক গেল বলে কি আজব কারখানা, যাক গেল বলে। গোপনে যে বেশার ভাত খায় তাতে ধর্মের কি ক্ষতি হয়, লালন বলে যাকারে কয়, লালন বলে যাকারে কয়, এই ভ্রম তো আর গেল না, যাক গেল বলে।
But Lalon's rejection is not only of the discriminations practiced by the Hindus. He questions the very basis of the divisive walls created by religion between man and man.
সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা সংসারে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা এই সংসারে, লালন বলে যেতের কি রূপ, লালন বলে যেতের কি রূপ, দেখলাম না এ নজরে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা এই সংসারে, সুন্নত দিলে হয় মুসলমান, নারীর তবে কি হয় বিধান, বামুন চিনি পইতেই প্রমাণ, বামুন চিনি পইতেই প্রমাণ, বামুনি চিনি কিসেরে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা এই সংসারে, গড়তে গেলে খুব জল পায়, গঙ্গায় গেলে গঙ্গা জল হয়, মূলে এক জল সে ভিন্ন হয়, ভিন্ন পাত্র অনুসারে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা এই সংসারে, জগৎ জুড়ে যেতের কথা লোকে গৌরব করেন যথা তথা, লালন বলেছে যেতের ফাঁকা বিকিয়েছে সাত বাজারে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি যা এই সংসারে।
Shocked and hurt by his rejection, Lalon renounced his family, community and religion and started keeping company with Shilad Shain. On the latter's death, Lalon set up an akhada in Sheuria village on the banks of the Gorai river, and gradually a band of followers gathered around him. Lalon was an inspired singer and could only sing when the muse was on him. But being totally unlettered, he could not record what he sang. Thus, many of his songs are lost to us. Later, a disciple started writing them down the moment they issued from his lips. And his collection is what we have today. Though he didn't go through any formal process of conversion or adopt Islamic religious practices, Lalon lived like a Muslim and among Muslims till his death in 1890 at the age of 116. In Lalon's life and art is seen the confluence of the two greatest religions of the world in its truest and most humane form. He lies buried in Sheuria, a place of pilgrimage for all bowels of Bengal, Hindu and Muslim.